He always had the perfect excuse, the sweetest apology, just enough regret to keep me hooked. But when I found a set of keys in his jacket, to an apartment I didn't know about, my heart stopped. I went there, hoping it was nothing. Instead, I found her. And another woman's shoes by the door. That night, I handed him his keys and said, "I made a copy, just like you made copies of your promises." His jaw dropped. Then my phone buzzed, a message from her. And he knew I wasn't the only one who knew his secrets. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to go through my boyfriend's pockets. But after 4 years with Jason, I had learned that when something didn't feel right, it usually wasn't. It started small. Little things that made me pause but never seemed like enough to accuse him. The faintest trace of perfume that wasn't mine. A lipstick stain he swore was from a coworker's hug. Text messages that popped up at 2 a.m., always with an excuse. And every time, he had the perfect answer. Always just enough regret in his voice, just enough sincerity in his eyes to make me believe him. So when I reached into his jacket that night, I wasn't expecting anything major. Maybe a receipt I could overthink. Maybe a number scribbled on a napkin. Something stupid and explainable. What I pulled out instead was a set of keys. A second set. Not for our apartment. Not for his car. The tag on them read, 11B, Monroe St. I stared at them for a second, my stomach dropping. We didn't live on Monroe Street. We didn't have a second apartment. Jason was in the shower. I had time. I grabbed my bag, my coat, and walked out. Monroe Street was only 15 minutes away, but my hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the steering wheel with both hands just to keep steady. My mind was spinning in 1,000 directions. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was work-related. Maybe it was something he'd meant to tell me about but forgot. Maybe, but I knew better. My heart was hammering as I pulled up to the address. The building was old, brick, the kind of place with peeling paint and narrow hallways. It smelled like someone had just cooked bacon. The stairs creaked under my weight as I walked up. 11B. I stared at the door, my pulse pounding so hard I felt lightheaded. I slid the key into the lock. It turned. The door clicked open. There was someone inside. A woman. She was sitting on the couch in an oversized t-shirt, scrolling through her phone. She looked up, startled, her eyebrows knitting together. "Who the hell are you?" I couldn't answer. Because right next to the door, neatly placed, was another pair of shoes. Not Jason's. Not mine. Another woman's. Before I could say anything, before I could even breathe, the bathroom door opened. And another woman walked out. She was wrapped in a towel, her wet hair dripping onto her shoulders. She was rubbing lotion into her arms, completely at ease until she saw me. Her face went pale. For a second, nobody moved. Then the girl on the couch shot up. "Who are you?" I finally found my voice. "I'm his girlfriend." The words tasted rotten in my mouth. The girl in the towel took a slow step forward, eyes darting to the couch girl, then back to me. "Jason's?" I nodded. Her eyes filled with something awful. Something that made my stomach turn over. "Me too." The room tilted. The couch girl made a strangled noise in her throat. She turned to tell girl, then to me, realization hitting her like a truck. "You're both joking." She let out a weird, breathless laugh. Neither of us said anything, and just like that, everything fell apart. The tell girl, Jason's other girlfriend, turned on the couch girl, her voice rising. "Are you kidding me right now?" Couch girl blinked rapidly, shaking her head. "Wait, no, I didn't. Wait. My hands were numb. My face was hot. There were 3 of us. 3 of us in his apartment. 3 of us wearing his stupid betrayal like a brand on our skin. I took a step back, my vision blurring. My heartbeat was so loud I barely heard them arguing, their words crashing over me like waves. "I didn't know. He told me he was single. Then, why do you have stuff here?" "Because I thought this was our place." The nausea rolled over me so hard I thought I might actually throw up. I turned. I walked out. I slammed the door behind me. And then I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Jason had a whole other life. A whole other apartment. A whole other set of women. And suddenly, the last 4 years made perfect, gut-wrenching sense. I don't remember driving home. I must have, obviously. But my brain was too busy replaying the scene over and over again. Jason had a secret apartment. Jason had multiple women. Jason had been lying to me for years. My hands were shaking so badly that when I finally pulled into the parking lot of our apartment complex, I just sat there, staring, breathing. My body felt disconnected from my mind, like I was floating somewhere outside myself, watching this nightmare unfold from a distance. The keys were still clenched in my fist. 11B, Monroe St. I opened my hand and looked at them. My fingers were red from how hard I had been gripping them. And then I had a thought. A terrible, ugly thought. I needed to see his face when he realized. I needed to watch the exact second he knew that I knew. I took a deep breath, stepped out of the car, and walked inside. Jason was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just been exposed. Like he wasn't a liar, a cheater, a manipulative, two-faced piece of shit. He looked up, smiling. Hey, where'd you go? For a second, I couldn't move. I just stood there, staring at him. His brown eyes, his relaxed posture, the way he had no idea that his perfect little world was about to cave in. Slowly, I walked up to him. And then I held out the keys. His smile faltered. His forehead creased. What's that? I didn't blink. I made a copy. My voice was quiet. Steady. Jason's face changed. It was subtle, just the slightest twitch in his jaw, the barest shift in his eyes. But I saw it. I saw everything. He knew. He knew exactly what those keys meant. He knew exactly where I had been. His throat bobbed. Babe, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. A message. From her. The girl at Monroe Street. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know. I turned my phone around and showed it to him. And that was when he truly realized. I wasn't the only one who knew his secrets. His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. He looked at the message, then at the keys, then back at me. He opened his mouth. I held up a hand. Don't. For the first time in 4 years, Jason had no perfect excuse. No quick lie. No bullshit story wrapped up in just the right amount of regret to keep me from leaving. And I should have felt powerful. But instead, my stomach twisted. Because I was realizing something. This wasn't over. Jason wasn't the type to go down easy. And I had just thrown the first punch. I barely slept that night. Jason was quiet. Too quiet. He didn't beg. He didn't cry. He didn't even try to argue. Instead, he watched me. Studied me. Like he was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. I didn't say a word. I just turned my back to him and went to bed. But when I woke up, Jason was already dressed. Drinking coffee. Checking his phone. Acting normal. And then, as if nothing had happened, he said, "So what now?" Like we were negotiating. Like I hadn't just found out he was living a double life. I scoffed. You're joking, right? He took a slow sip of his coffee. I mean, what do you want me to do? Leave? I blinked. Yes. Jason exhaled sharply through his nose. Like I had just said something stupid. Come on, babe. Let's just talk. I stared at him. Talk? What was there to talk about? I should have told him to go to hell. I should have screamed, thrown something, made him pack his bags and get out right then and there. But instead, I just sat there, feeling a horrible, creeping sense of unease. Jason wasn't scared. Jason wasn't sorry. Jason was planning something. And that scared me more than anything. I went to work. I tried to focus. I tried to pretend that my entire life hadn't just shattered overnight. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. And then, at lunch, my phone buzzed. A call from a blocked number. I frowned. Declined. A minute later, my phone buzzed again. A text message. Blocked number. You should hear him out. He has his reasons. My breath caught in my throat. I read the text again. And again. Who the hell was this? And how did they know? I stared at my phone, my heart pounding. Blocked number. You should hear him out. He has his reasons. I read it again. And again. My fingers tightened around my phone as my stomach twisted. Who the hell was this? I looked around the office, half expecting to see someone watching me. The break room felt too bright, too normal, like the world wasn't supposed to keep moving when mine was falling apart. I texted back. Me, who is this? No response. I clenched my jaw, trying to ignore the horrible feeling creeping up my spine. Jason had been too calm this morning. Too controlled. And now, suddenly, I was getting messages from a blocked number? I called it. Straight to voicemail. No name. Just silence. I exhaled sharply. Maybe it was one of them. Maybe Monroe Street girl was having second thoughts, trying to get me to reconsider. Maybe someone was messing with me. Or maybe Jason wasn't working alone. When I got home, Jason was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of pasta like it was just a normal Wednesday. I stopped in the doorway. I didn't take off my coat. I didn't move. Jason glanced up, smiling. Hey, babe. How was work? I blinked at him. Was he serious? I held up my phone. Who did you tell? His smile didn't even flicker. What? Someone texted me. I walked in slowly, setting my bag on the counter. They said I should hear you out. Jason kept stirring. Too casual. Too controlled. Weird. He finally looked at me. Maybe one of your friends? I scoffed. None of my friends would ever tell me to listen to you. Jason's mouth twitched. Not a frown. Not a smirk. Something in between. Well, then, maybe you should. I froze. What? Jason turned off the burner, wiping his hands on a towel. Maybe you should hear me out. I narrowed my eyes. You cheated on me. Multiple times. You had a whole apartment. What the hell is there to hear out? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. You're acting like I did this to hurt you. I barked out a laugh. What, you cheated to help me? Jason didn't laugh. He just held my gaze. And suddenly, for the first time, I felt something new. Not anger. Not betrayal. Not heartbreak. Fear. Jason stepped closer. You don't know everything. I swallowed. Then tell me. Jason tilted his head slightly, studying me. And then, he smiled. Okay. I should have left. I should have grabbed my bag and walked out. But Jason had that look in his eyes. The one that used to make me feel like I was the only person in the world who truly understood him. The one that, for 4 years, kept me coming back. And now, that same look made my skin crawl. Jason pulled out a chair. Sit. I didn't move. He sighed, shaking his head. Fine. You want the truth. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. I never meant to cheat. I scoffed. Jason ignored me. I met someone a long time ago. Before you. And I thought I was done with her. I thought she was out of my life. I frowned. Who? Jason hesitated. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just about random women. This wasn't just about Monroe Street. This was about someone else. And suddenly, the blocked number made sense. I wasn't the one being watched. Jason was. My throat went dry. Who is she? Jason finally looked at me. And for the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. She's not done with me. A chill ran down my spine. What the hell does that mean? Jason exhaled. It means you need to stay the hell out of this. My hands curled into fists. Stay out of what? Jason didn't answer. Instead, he grabbed his phone and started typing. My phone buzzed. I looked down. A message. From blocked number. Leave him before she finds you. I looked up, heart pounding. Who the hell is this? Jason's jaw clenched. And then he muttered, my wife. I felt the blood drain from my face. Jason's wife. Not a girlfriend. Not some other woman he had been stringing along. A wife. I was frozen. My mind scrambled to make sense of it, but nothing fit. The past 4 years, the dates, the holidays, the lazy Sunday mornings in bed, all of it had been a lie. Jason had been married this entire time. My stomach twisted as I looked at the text again. Leave him before she finds you. A chill ran down my spine. I looked at Jason. His jaw was clenched so tight it looked painful. Say it, I whispered. He swallowed. Her name is Alyssa. I gripped the edge of the counter. Does she know about me? Jason hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. I sucked in a sharp breath. She knows. Jason exhaled, running a hand through his hair. It's complicated, no. It's not. My voice was shaking, but I didn't care. You're married. You've been married this whole time. You made me the other woman without telling me. And now she's warning me to run. Jason pinched the bridge of his nose. She's unstable. I barked out a bitter laugh. Oh, so she's crazy? That's your excuse? Jason's eyes snapped to mine. She's dangerous. I stared at him. There was no charm in his voice now. No fake regret. Just fear. Something deep, something real. A cold, sick feeling crept up my spine. What did you do to her? Jason flinched. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just about cheating. This was about something else. Something worse. I stepped back. My fingers trembled as I grabbed my bag. I'm done. Jason reached for my wrist. Wait, I yanked away. Do not touch me. Jason clenched his fists. His face was tight, his eyes pleading, but I saw it now. The desperation wasn't because he loved me. It was because he was losing control. I turned and walked out. And that's when I saw her. A woman. Standing near the entrance of the building. Tall. Dark hair pulled back into a tight ponytail. And staring directly at me. I froze. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stood there, watching. I knew before Jason even said her name. Alyssa. His wife. A sinking, twisting feeling lodged itself in my stomach. I wanted to run. Every part of my body screamed at me to get back inside, to lock the door, to hide. But I didn't. Because she was already walking toward me. Alyssa stopped a few feet away. She didn't speak at first. Just looked me up and down, like she was sizing me up. Then she exhaled. So, you're the one. My throat felt dry. I didn't know about you. She tilted her head. You really believe that makes a difference? I didn't have an answer. Jason's voice cut through the tension. Alyssa, don't do this. She smirked. But there was no humor in it. Oh, you don't get to tell me what to do, Jason. Not anymore. Jason stepped forward like he wanted to put himself between us. You're not thinking straight. Alyssa turned to him. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. Jason was afraid of her. Truly afraid. Alyssa sighed, looking back at me. I bet he told you I'm crazy. I swallowed hard. She smiled. Of course, he did. Jason took another step forward. Alyssa, please. Alyssa ignored him. Her eyes stayed locked on me. Let me guess. He told you I'm unstable? Dangerous? I didn't answer. Her smile grew colder. But he didn't tell you what he did he? Jason stiffened. Alyssa took a slow step toward me. He lied to me. Over and over. Just like he lied to you. He took everything from me. Years of my life, my trust, my money. And when I finally found out what he was doing, you know what he said? I swallowed. What? Her jaw clenched. That it was my fault. Jason's voice was sharp. That's not fair. Alyssa's expression darkened. Not fair? Jason took a shaky breath. Look, I know I hurt you. Alyssa cut him off. You destroyed me. The words hit like a gunshot. For the first time, Jason had nothing to say. Alyssa turned to me. Get out while you still can. My stomach twisted. What do you mean? Alyssa's face softened, just a little. He doesn't love you. He never did. He just likes control. And when he starts losing it, things get ugly. Jason let out a sharp breath. Enough. Alyssa smirked. Are you scared, Jason? Jason's eyes flickered between us. I don't want anyone getting hurt. I felt sick. What does that mean? Neither of them answered. Alyssa exhaled. Do what you want. Stay, leave, I don't care. But don't say I didn't warn you. She turned and walked away. Jason let out a long breath, rubbing his temples. She's lying. She's just trying to mess with you. I barely heard him. I was staring at Alyssa's retreating figure, her words repeating in my head. Get out while you still can. I left Jason that night. No screaming, no throwing things, no dramatic last words. I just packed my bags and walked out. I blocked his number. I never spoke to him again. But I did speak to Alyssa. And what she told me later, asterisk about the other women, the money, the things he did when they started fighting back, asterisk made my blood run cold. I had been one of many. And I had been so lucky to get out when I did. I still think about it sometimes. How easily I could have stayed. How easily I could have ignored the signs, let him smooth over the truth with another sweet apology. But now, when I look back, I don't feel anger. I don't even feel heartbreak. I just feel relief. Because for the first time in 4 years, I was finally free.